Hello and welcome to this brand new figure reviews. Yes, I said reviews because we have 3 awesome figurines to review from the Doctor Who aisle, and then we're going to review 1 Transformer from the Transformers aisle. So, the 3 Doctor Who figures of today are the Dapol Doctor Who Time Lord Grey, the Part 22 figurine collection Heavenly Host, and this little Dalek Keyring for the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who. So to start us off, I am going to talk about this guy. So these two can move out the way. So, like I said, this is an original Dapol figurine from back when Dapol owned Doctor Who. Of course, Dapol being the electric train brand that make OO gauge and N gauge models. They used to have the license for Doctor Who, believe it or not. Anyway, articulation time. Bend at the elbow. Oh look, out to the side movement at the upper arm. Something that character options still need to learn on a lot of their figures. And the arms are hindered by this bit round the Time Lord's necks, but without this they would be able to do a 360 degrees exorcist twist, although I don't know why you'd want to break their arms. That's a very mean thing to do. And the head does move slightly. So, detail wise, this is an extremely nicely detailed figure. Saying that it's so old, I'm so impressed with this. In fact, it's one of the nicest vintage Doctor Who figures I've ever come across. It really does stand out from all the rest. And when you look at it with the Time Lord from the modern series that was released by Character Options, they do kind of work together in ways. I mean, apart from scaling, of course, there's definite difference in scaling, but they are compatible with each other. They do look like they're the same species. So, what do I think overall of the Dapol Time Lord mould? It's an excellent mould, made out of plastic, yes, but it does have metal hinges and that for the articulation, which I think is actually quite high quality for the time. That's actually quite good, and it makes it a very strong figure. So, what do I rate this? Well, I always used to say that the original Time Lord from Character Options, the one that we're used to nowadays, is the best representation of a Time Lord to today's standards, although I think the Dapol model is actually above the standards of its time. So this is now my favourite Time Lord figure, and it's a 10 out of 10. So, we will move on to the Heavenly Host figurine collection figure review. Now, this is a figurine, not an action figure, so it has no articulation, so we don't even have to go on to that one. But detail is astounding. They have hand-painted every single last detail, and you can see for yourself, they're even numbered individually. There is a lot of thought put into these figures that come with the magazines. I don't want to argue with the fact that they are very high-quality figurines. Because of that, I love this figure. However, I'm more used to figures of articulation. Now, I know Dave has his own thoughts on the figurine collection, so Dave, you say your personal rating for this figurine.
Yeah, I think they're figurines, so they don't need articulation. They're not action figures, they are just figures which are sculpted brilliantly, I think. Absolute perfect detail. Couldn't be any better. The figurine collection here, it's just absolute genius. Brilliant detail. I can't really describe it in words. You can see this figure. This is part 22 of the collection. There's an entire collection that you can get, and it's brilliant. I really recommend you guys get it. Get the subscription as well, because although James thinks it's a con or something, I reckon well, if I could save up, I would get it, and I recommend you get it too.
So I'm going to have to give it an 8, because it's a very nice detailed figure, and it's a great representation of the Heavenly Host, 100% accurate, but it doesn't have any articulation, which lets it down to an 8. Okay, the final review of the Doctor Who area of reviews for this video, and I'm reviewing a Dalek Keyring. A keyring that is a Dalek. Can you believe this? Look, it has a thing to attach it to keys, hence why it's a keyring. And articulation time. The eye stalk moves up and down, and these move, and they're all rubbery, so you can move them in any way you want. You can have the eye stalk all the way down, or just straight, or whatever you want. So that's very nice. And my assistant has given me some keys. Thank you, trusted assistant that I no longer trust. No. Stop ruining my review!
You can attach them to loom bands.
Anyway, so detail on this thing. It's actually got a lot of detail. I am really, really pleased with the detail. And I got it for cheap because it was on a sale, so I'm not complaining. It was supposed to be £6 something, and I got it for just over £1 on a sale, which it's definitely worth that. It rolls. Why does it roll, I hear you ask? Because it's on wheels, and like I said, the detail is amazing. Just look at that. All the hemispheres, the manipulator arm, the exterminator, of course the eye stalk, it's all accurate to the show. It's a brilliant representation of a Dalek in such a tiny little form.
My Dalek's bigger than yours.
That's my Dalek. You just stole him from my shelf. But that does give us quite a good size comparison. Thank you, Dave. Because actually now you can see how small this guy actually is compared to a 12-inch figure. He doesn't even go above the skirt. But anyway, now I'm going to wrap this review up and we'll move on to Transformers. Transformers, robots in disguise. And so we reach the Transformers part of the video where we do a review on a Transformer. If you didn't guess that already. So, this is the Transformer in question, and the big Transformers fans of you out there will have already guessed that this is Evasion Mode Optimus Prime, which is pretty much G1 Optimus Prime in live action form. They should have just written on the box, G1 Optimus Prime live action, yay.
Yay.
Yes, that's what they should have written on the box. It does come with an accessory that we've been after for a very long time, Hasbro, but thank you for finally delivering. This is Megatron's ion cannon, or shotgun, as we like to call it in the trade, from the last film that Optimus Prime has kept hold on after stealing it from Megatron's cold dead corpse, after ripping off his head with an axe. He's a nice guy. Now this does fire. It actually fires quite well. I've practiced a few targets and I might use it on Dave later on if he's not careful. It does have pegs for MechTech ports, which you can see that one of the pegs is here on the handle that Optimus Prime will use in robot mode. That's where one of the MechTech pegs are. There's another two here, so the ports on Optimus Prime are there, 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 and that's it for vehicle mode. And you can see that it's very easy to accidentally fire this gun. All you need to do is push down on this slightly and it will fire, which isn't the best for little kids, but let's face it, this figure is more for the collector market. And I'll come back to the shotgun in a second when I have transformed Optimus into robot mode. And that is the end of the transformation. You can see that Optimus Prime is fully transformed and ready for battle. Articulation time. He can put his arm out to the side. He can do 360 at the arm, but I don't want to break Optimus Prime's arm. He will come after me and try to kill me. He's already mad enough at humankind. He does have a spin at the upper arm, just above, supposed to be the elbow, but the actual joint for the elbow is below the elbow, so you're actually breaking his arm because of the transformation. He then has wrist swivel, leg moves up at the top of the leg, moves out to the side, and you would think it would be hindered by this wheel here, but no, the wheel is on a little joint of itself, so you can literally have Prime kick out. How cool is that? We have never had that on any Prime figure ever before now, and that is a reason to buy this figure. It can rotate, the knees do bend, and there is an added bit of articulation for the feet if you really want it, in the fact that the leg completely collapses for the transformation, literally completely collapses. You can have the foot there, so then you can have peg leg Prime. And actually a nice thing is, in some ways due to the transformation, but in others just for articulation, the foot moves up and down and side to side. That's really nice. Now, if my trusted assistant would bring in Megatron from the previous film, thank you, trusted assistant, we can show off Megatron's gun in Megatron's hand. Now, you've probably seen this before on other people's reviews, but I'll say it again anyway. There's a little peg on the side of the handle there, and inside of Megatron's hand is a little hole. So you have to line the gun up to the hand. Here we have it! Megatron is holding his shotgun, or ion cannon, whatever you want to call it, but it's a shotgun. We all know that it's a shotgun. Stop lying to us. It's a shotgun. But Megatron can now hold his shotgun, his legendary ion cannon from the previous film, which really put fear into it. And for those of you that, now you've got the shotgun, have been putting the shotgun in his hand and taking his mech-tech weapon and throwing it in the bin or in a box or whatever, just remember, there are mech-tech ports all over him. Either put it on the other arm, or put it on the same arm, because there's still the room, or use it as a backpack or a jetpack. I mean, it looks right being a jetpack, doesn't it? So I've got it as a jetpack. I think that looks really cool, actually. So now the completed Megatron is complete. We finally have the gun we've needed and been so desperately after for Megatron for so long. And it's about time that we got it. And finally, for size comparison of the mighty Evasion Mode Optimus Prime, I give you none other than the previous film, Ultimate Optimus Prime. Obviously noticed the size difference when Ultimate Optimus Prime is in his supreme mode, but of course out of that they're very similar sizes. And I guess it's time to talk about the movie that this guy stars in. Yes, Transformers Age of Extinction. I thought, wow, I've gone and seen the movie. I've got one of the figures, which I'll be reviewing later in this video. So why not review the film? So, the film's main plot is basically Transformers are no longer wanted on Earth, whether they're Decepticon or Autobots. So then the governments of the world say, hey, you know what, go and hunt them, we don't want them anymore. Go and hunt and kill them, but don't tell the public that we're hunting Autobots. Just tell them that the Autobots we're hunting are Decepticons. And so they go around hunting and killing Autobots and Decepticons, and that's the main basis of the movie. So there are going to be a lot of spoilers in this. I of course need to explain spoilerish stuff to do a proper review of the movie. So, Lockdown, the Decepticon in this movie, wow, it's debatable whether he's a Decepticon or not, because he gets money off the Decepticon, but he's a bounty hunter. He's not really on anyone's side. He's on whoever gives him the most amount of money, really. He's on his own side. So, he is working with the humans to try to kill the Autobots, as we see him and the humans killing Ratchet, and so that was quite disappointing. And we saw a few other Autobots die, and they killed off some of the good Autobots by human guns and a bit of lockdowns, which I guess is good, but it's a shame that they had to be killed by humans and not Decepticons, their enemies. And I guess it's a bit of a shame that humans decided, hey, we don't like you anymore. It kind of annoys Prime, so then Prime goes on this whole vengeance-seeking rage after the human cast basically awake him from hibernation. He's like, why? Why have my own side been killed by the humans that we were with? We protected them, which it does seem a bit unfair. But then, of course, he starts wanting to get vengeance on whoever actually started this off. And then we find out that there's actually a company making their own man-made Transformers from body parts and all sorts of dead Transformers that they've either killed or bodies from Chicago. They even have Megatron's head, and then Megatron's head, spoiler alert, infects Galvatron, which is one of their man-made Decepticons, and so then he basically becomes Megatron. And then he brings all the other vehicles to life. Now extinction is imminent for mankind. And so, one last time, the human cast convince Prime and the Autobots to save humanity from their own designed Transformers, and then they have to awaken these ancient warriors, which are the Dinobots and Grimlock, which are inside of Lockdown's ship, which Lockdown earlier on in the film captures Prime in. once they're tamed, they go into glorious battle together, and of course in the end the Autobots and the Dinobots win. And then Prime goes off into outer space to find his creators, which is why Lockdown was sent in the first place, because his creators want him and all of the Knights, which are the Dinobots, back, because they're messing up some plan they had for him by him mixing with humans. So, is there going to be another film? I don't know, because of course Michael Bay has now retired from the Transformers franchise. He's gone on to different films, and good on him. I'm sure he'll make some great killer films in the future. But his Transformers films were really good, and it was good that we finally got what we wanted in a G1 live-action Optimus Prime. They're saying that the new director will be one that's been into Transformers ever since it started and is a massive fan of the franchise, so hopefully they'll reboot the franchise to make a G1 live-action movie. We can only hope that. But last thoughts on Transformers Age of Extinction. It's an amazing film. I highly, highly, highly advise you to watch it. It has a few disappointing things in there for the fans, like the fact that, oh wait, Transformers are now built, not born. The whole point of Transformers is that they were born. But anyway, besides that, it's a good film. You should all go and see it. I rate it about 7 or 8 out of 10. It's better than the first Transformers film, just overall level with Revenge of the Fallen, and of course Dark of the Moon I think is still my favourite of Michael Bay films of the Transformers universe. But it is an amazing film. I'm just not sure if it's up to Dark of the Moon standards. So, I guess it's time to say bye! Galvatron, which is one of their man-made humans, man-made Decepticons,